You have more friends online than any human in history ever had. Hundreds of contacts, thousands of followers, group chats that never stop buzzing. And at 2 in the morning, when something goes wrong, you scroll through every single name and realize there is no one you can actually call. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why that happens, and it has almost nothing to do with how many people you know. Most people believe loneliness means being alone. No friends, no contacts, an empty room. But researchers have found something stranger. You can be surrounded by people, active in every group chat, liked by hundreds of strangers, and still feel completely unseen. Scientists have a name for this: collective loneliness. Feeling isolated, not despite being surrounded by people, but because of how you are surrounded by them. So what is actually happening? The answer is not the number of connections in your life. It is the depth of them. For most of human history, people lived in small tribes, rarely larger than a few dozen people. Every relationship in that tribe was physical, face-to-face, built on shared meals, shared work, shared eye contact. Your brain evolved for that world, a world of a few deep bonds, not hundreds of shallow ones. Modern life gave you thousands of connections and quietly removed the depth from almost all of them. An anthropologist named Robin Dunbar studied this exact limit. He found that the human brain can only maintain around 150 meaningful relationships, no matter how large your contact list becomes. Within that number, most people can only sustain about 5 truly close bonds, the ones you would call at 2 in the morning without hesitation. Everyone beyond that number is not a real relationship in the way your brain understands connection. It is closer to background noise, familiar faces without real depth behind them. Social media did not expand your capacity for connection. It simply filled your attention with hundreds of shallow versions of it, while the 5 real ones quietly starved for attention. Here is villain number 1: the illusion of connection. Scrolling through a friend's photos feels like knowing them. Liking a post feels like reaching out. But your brain does not release real bonding chemicals from a double tap on a screen. Genuine connection requires something social media was never built to deliver: sustained presence with another human being. You can spend 3 hours scrolling through other people's lives, and end that night feeling more alone than when you started. Here is villain number 2, quieter than the first. Texting replaced talking. A message can be read in someone's tone of voice, their pauses, the way their face changes when they say something painful. A text message strips almost all of that away. You can exchange 50 messages with someone and still have no idea how they are actually doing. Real bonding chemicals, the ones that make you feel close to another person, respond to voice, to eye contact, to physical presence. They barely respond to a typed sentence on a glowing screen. Here is villain number 3, and it is the most painful one: the fear of being truly seen. Everyone online is curating a version of themselves: the highlight reel, the good angle, the confident caption. Nobody posts the night they cried alone in their car. So when you are struggling, you assume everyone else has it figured out, and you hide your own struggle to keep up the same illusion. 2 people can be quietly going through the exact same pain, both hiding it from each other, both convinced they are the only one. This is how a room full of people can feel like the loneliest place on earth. Everyone performing connection, nobody actually offering it. Picture a party or a crowded office break room. 20 people in the same space, laughing, talking, holding drinks or coffee cups. And half of them are quietly checking a phone under the table, scrolling through people who are not even there. The room looks full of connection from the outside. From the inside, most of the people in it feel like they are performing for each other, waiting for someone else to say something real first. Nobody wants to be the one who admits they are struggling, so the entire room stays exactly as lonely as it started. The consequences of this are more serious than most people realize. Researchers have compared the health impact of chronic loneliness to smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. It raises the risk of heart disease. It weakens the immune system. It shortens life expectancy in ways very similar to physical illness. Loneliness was never just an emotional inconvenience. It is a measurable physical health risk, hiding behind a phone full of contacts. Consider someone with over 800 friends across every platform they use. Comments on their posts within minutes. Messages every single day. But during the hardest week of their year, they opened their phone at 2 in the morning, scrolled through every single name, and put it back down without calling anyone. Not because nobody cared, because none of those 800 connections had ever gone deep enough to carry a real conversation like that one. They had hundreds of people who would like a photo. They did not have one person who would sit with them in silence. So how do you actually fix this without deleting every app or disappearing from the internet completely? The first shift is choosing depth over width. 5 people who truly know you matter more than 500 who only know your highlight reel. You do not need a bigger network. You need a smaller number of people you actually let in. The second shift is replacing messages with voices whenever it actually matters. A single phone call carries more real connection than an entire week of text messages. Hearing someone's actual voice, even for 2 minutes, does something a message never can. The third shift is initiating the uncomfortable moment first. Sending the text that says, "I have not seen you in a while. Are you free this week?" Most people are waiting for someone else to reach out first, which means almost nobody reaches out at all. The fourth shift, and the hardest one, is letting someone see the version of you that is not curated. Real connection is not built on both people looking perfect. It is built on one person going first, being honest about a hard week, and discovering the other person was quietly struggling too. Now picture that same person, months later. They still have hundreds of online contacts, but they also have a short list, 3 or 4 people, who they call instead of text when something actually matters. They sit across from someone at a table now, phone face down, actually listening instead of scrolling. They were the one who sent the first uncomfortable message, more than once, and most of the time, the other person was relieved someone finally did. They still feel lonely sometimes. Everyone does. But it is ordinary loneliness now, not the hollow kind that hides behind hundreds of names that never actually answer. The strange part is how simple the shift actually was. Not a bigger social circle. Not more followers, more likes, more group chats to keep up with. Just a handful of real conversations, chosen on purpose, protected on purpose, returned to again and again. That was the entire difference between feeling surrounded and feeling accompanied. You were never unlikable, and you were never destined to feel alone forever. You were simply collecting width, in a world that only rewards you with depth. Tonight, someone in your contacts is waiting for the exact same phone call you have been afraid to make. The only question is whether you finally make it, or scroll past their name one more time.